Alrighty. I am up all the way. What's up, Drake?
What's up, Drake?
Oh my gosh, that sounded terrible. Okay.
What's up, Drake?
Oh, no. Okay. Goodness gracious. Sounds like the quality is good. It's never a whole lot of fun to hear your voice back. The audio is perfection. Lovely. Love that for us. I'm using my fancy microphone, my little wireless mic. Boy, I tell you where, I have been everywhere. Oh, hold on. Try not to cough in your ear here. I've also been allergic to life. How have you been? I hope we're all well. You need the Lord. Have you heard about this? The GATE program. This is something that started, I guess, in about the 80s. The earliest I've heard of it is in the 80s. Could have been earlier, I suppose, but I guess good. I hope so. But yeah, these programs, GATE, Dave. Hey, you might learn some interesting things today. You've never heard of the GATE program? It's blowing up right now on the Clock app, especially, but there's also lots of people talking about it on YouTube. And I was also in the GATE program when I was young. And hey, Mary, how are you, darling? Hey, Destiny. Yes, yes, I recognize you, darling. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, whoops, I can't. Oh, I was gonna make you blue, but got the chat turned off on my regular phone, so next time I see you, I will do that for you, darling. You were. And you know, it's funny because we all seem to find each other without even meaning to, right? And it's so funny because a lot of the people that I know, am close friends with, also were in GATE. And we've never really talked about it until this newfound discovery or awakening or whatever you want to call it. In that right, Dave? But yeah, it's funny how we kind of find each other unwittingly, 2 to 5 hours. Yep, it'd be like that when it's a baby. I am so sorry for that. Isn't that so strange? I'm telling you, it's so weird. It's like we find each other not even meaning to. It's very interesting. We actually share a whole lot in common, at least the GATE kiddos, now turned adults that I've spoken with. And a lot of it are things that you might not realize unless you have very specific conversations. So it's really very interesting in my own personal opinion. But hearing a lot of other people's stories has made me go on quite the deep dive. Well, hello, always watching YouTube. It will. It will indeed, darling. You know it will. We're talking about GATE today. Stands for Gifted and Talented Education Program. It's a program that they did beginning in maybe the 80s. We're a little bit questioning of it. And it supposedly was just to find gifted and talented students.
Go to Mars.
Ryan says to go to Mars. But there were a lot of very interesting things that happened, a lot of memories people are recovering or recalling, being triggered with lately, that are making people question the real motives, around what's really going on around here. And I mean, you can Google GATE, and there's plenty of information on what they claimed that it was meant for. You know, and it's called many things. It's also known as gate. There's gate, then there's tag, 2E, EHL, gap, and I found a couple more. Okay, thank you. A couple more names and whatnot. Oh, hey, Maddie, how are you, dear? Well, I hope you will enjoy it. We're talking killer. I can't with you, Dave. It's very interesting. And stick around because one of my last slides, there's Rainy. And why aren't you blue? What is happening? I swear YouTube keeps taking my mods away. Hold on. Let me see if I can. That's me. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do this here. What is really happening? Okay. Ha ha ha. No. Why won't you let me do it? Oh, I'm getting so frustrated. Rainy, I don't know why you're not blue. It's making me so upset right now. I was trying to get into it. I don't know if you saw all that I just went through. I'm going to make everybody blue when I get back on my regular phone. I don't know why. Yes, you have. I swear you were. I swear you were. Am I crazy? I swear that you definitely were, Mom. I swear you were. Amen. Amen, Dave. Anywho, I will take care of that by the very next time I'm up. I can promise you that. It's not letting me want to get into, since I'm screen sharing, it makes it difficult because every time I try to press into the comments, it's like pressing other things on my phone. But anywho, I know you don't care. I just don't understand why it did that. But anywho, yes, it's known by many different things. If you Google it, you can find plenty of information on what they say the stated goal is, which is just basically identify kids and supposedly help meet their needs, right? Because they have all these special needs, like these needs to be, see, there's the gate and 2E that I mentioned before. They need special educational not backgrounds, challenges, social and emotional challenges, positive environments, advancing creative thinking, strength-based approach, etc. So there's a lot of information on the claims for what it was supposed to be, right? But all of these people having these strange memories come up had me going down a very deep rabbit hole and trying to find some information because I'm sitting here like and say, a lot of things just were not making sense to me, right? So here we go down the rabbit hole. Do come with me. So this is a little collage I've made. Out to Pitt. Hi, brother. How are you, brother Sackcloth? So good to see you, darling. This is probably right up your alley because I could almost bet you're a GATE kid too. Were you in the GATE program growing up? These are some of the most core memories, easily triggered. Oh no, okay, Destiny. You would, Dave. You sure would. But yes, a lot of these trigger some memories for GATE kids. A lot of us have dealt with all these. If you were in Rainy's chat the other day when we were talking about it for just a second, we were talking about tangrams. That's these things right here that are the different shapes. And sometimes you have guidance like these things here to make like animals. And sometimes you'd be told, something. Sometimes you'd have free reign with the tangrams. Of course, we've got the ink blots, the scantrons, because we were always doing advanced testing. Am I right or am I right? The pink drink, a lot of us remember the pink drink, and the special hearing test that was not a simple hearing test. A lot of us remember that as well. Speaking of the hearing test, so the hearing test we were given, if you're curious about it, a lot of people have had a lot of questions about it. Here's some information. It was not a normal hearing test. A lot of us remember hearing a man's voice giving us very strange instructions, and understanding now, looking back, it was an attempt to get us into a hypnotic type state. Someone finally made the connection to the gateway tapes. Well, what is that? The gateway tapes, also known as the Gateway Experience, are a series of audio programs developed by the Monroe Institute designed to guide individuals into altered states of consciousness using HemiSync technology. These tapes are intended to help users explore their minds, potentially achieve out-of-body experiences, and facilitate personal growth through relaxation, visualization, and breathing exercises. Now, one might ask the question, what in the world would we need to teach this to children for, right? That's a very fair question. Now, before we continue, I'd like to play you guys a clip of just the beginning. It's just a few seconds. I have the warning on here because I do have to say, I have seen quite a few in the compilation of stories that I've watched. I have seen quite a few people that have had visceral reactions to this audio for some reason. Not great. So if you are someone who is heavily triggered by audio, maybe just mute this for like 5 seconds. It's not going to be very long, but this may blow your mind if you have not heard it yet. I'm just going to play the intro music basically, and it might bring back some memories. Might sound familiar.
This is the first step along your path to a gateway beyond which is discovery, your own discovery of reality, of truth, of who and what you are. Now a simple preparation because of the special audio.
In case you couldn't hear very well, it's that beginning to me. It's that weird, like, robotic, just overall strangeness, all the bleepy bleepy tones for me. The first time I heard that, which was really, let me fix this mic. So sorry, guys. Which is probably, going on a month ago now. The first time I ever heard it, it gave me chills. I was like, what in the fresh hell is this? And it was very, it was very, very strange. A lot of people, like I said, have said they have a visceral reaction to this because it's just like a trigger, Yes, right? Yes, a lot of people instantly recognize it. I did. I instantly recognized it. I got the chills. Not in some like, oh my gosh, I was, somehow done something crazy to or experimented on like a lab rat, like bringing up all this past trauma, crazy woo woo type of memory, but in a very like, I know that to my bones, I know that sound type of reaction. It was very weird because I definitely have not just heard this somewhere along the way in life. Like I feel like people had to hunt pretty hard to find this. And even if you were to Google or YouTube this was something that sold in the 80s and 90s for like $500, this Gateway Experience as a whole. And people have had to like, transfer it from CDs to audio files to even upload it onto YouTube. There are only a few versions out there today. So this is probably not something any of us have just heard. If you recognize it, it's very likely because you recognize it from this strange quote unquote hearing test. So there's that. And then to get into the pink drink, there's been a whole lot of hoopla over the pink drink. A lot of people want to say that it was normal fluoride treatment. I feel like a lot of us gate kids were told that's what it was. It's just fluoride. It's for your teeth. Every kid gets it, etc. Even some people have said it was another form of disclosure tabs, which are those pink tablets that you chew up and it turns any plaque that could be on your teeth like purple, so you see where you need to brush better. people have said it could have been that, but like ground up. People claim it could be a lot of things, how people grasp at straws when they need to explain something or else their mind is going to blow. People claim it's this and it's that. There is a sect of people who know a whole lot about psychedelics and mind-bending type of drugs. This collective of people have theorized it could be a few different medications. One of the biggest ones, B2 or scopolamine, which you may have heard about this. There was some years ago, it was a really big thing, and there was a whole lot of hoopla about it on the news, many segments. It's also known as devil's breath. A lot of people spike drinks with it. One second. Sorry, I'm still dealing with some allergies. I didn't want my cough right in your ear. In South America, it's a whole lot more readily available and on the street, used in crimes where people are vulnerable, such as armed robbery or assault. High doses of scopolamine can lead to acute psychosis, including hallucinations, disorientation, paranoia, and amnesia. It can also make victims compliant and susceptible to criminal suggestions. The interesting thing is it also inhibits the new making of short-term memories. So not only does it make you incredibly susceptible to suggestion, but it also stops you from making any brand new short-term memories, which I think is incredibly interesting, because that could definitely be something incredibly useful to someone trying to have nefarious intentions, right? Not only are you going to want to go along with what they say, but you're not going to remember it. And of all the medications people have theorized, like I said, could have been used, this one seems a lot more possible, because depending on the dosage, the half-life will either increase or decrease. And unlike a lot of other drugs, which the half-life is the half-life on a lot of other drugs, meaning you could also adjust the dose to say, let it be wearing off about the time the last school bell would ring, just for example. So I find that very interesting and plausible. Maybe not plausible, possible. Somewhere between plausible and possible. And, but I mean, this is, in other countries, it's become so much of a problem. They have whole campaigns with these tester strips that they give out for free at bars, because it's a really big problem, right? So I just think that that's interesting, an interesting possibility. Another thing I find really interesting, a lot of us that were gay kids have come to know this connected consciousness grid far before any recent time. I remember the first time I ever saw this on a video about opening the third eye and pineal glands and all this other stuff that I won't go into right this second. I saw it, but before it was even explained, I somehow already knew it, and it was very familiar to me. And apparently that's a very big commonality between all of us as gay kids, right? Are these kind of ideas and this actual picture, right? Which also, by the way, is one of the ideas pushed a lot by Monroe, who created the Gateway Experience as, an important tenet of his teachings. Of course, the idea of the connective consciousness is all living beings are connected through a unified field of consciousness. All kinds of philosophical, spiritual, and scientific theories come from this root, and it's an energy network, just like we are all made of energy, right? Then there's the ink blots. We all remember these as well. Is that a pickle? Sorry, I just came back to this, and I was like, what? Is it a pickle? Justin, hello, so glad to see you. Is it a pickle? Is it not a pickle? I think it's really interesting. A lot of us remember ink blots because, I mean, this is a well-known psychological tool or test, whatever you'd like to call it. You got the Rorschach patterns. And basically the idea is that your own personality, emotions, memories will project something onto the ink blots. And what you're seeing is supposedly a window into you, your soul, your past, your thoughts, whatever it might be. very interesting that they might have been using concepts like these together, right? At least interesting in my own opinion. Be cool. So good to see you, Justin. Okay, so here's some of the weird things that we, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us seem to remember, right, about that time, like our time in the GATE program. We remember the pink drinking cups, specifically like the little paper Dixie cups and a pink chalky liquid, not like the fluoride drink that we actually just saw here. It wasn't like this. It wasn't this like liquidy dark. It was like a almost like Pepto-Bismol, right? The unique hearing test, quote unquote, aka the Gateway Experience, strange dreams, the outbuildings. A lot of us remember those like temporary trailer type buildings at our school, and those would be places we would go, or even storage closets. I've heard a lot of people say to do these testing, experimental, education, quote unquote, right? And a lot of us remember the windows being covered. A lot of people report these were areas of the school they would never otherwise go. Some had to have key locks to get into, kind of a secretive aura about it, right? Which is strange. Being separated from our classmates, even sometimes from the other kids in the GATE program. There are a lot of people who believe that there are kind of stages, if you will, or some kind of separation between even the GATE kids, different levels. I'm not sure what the levels might be, but there do seem to be differences in some of our experiences that might be explained by there being that different quote unquote level between people. All kinds of weird tests, tanagrams, building things generally, with strange objects as well, like popsicle sticks, toothpicks, but like bridges or buildings, like being expected to build real life things with kind of strange laying around type materials, right? The ink blots, IQ and cognition testing, shape sorters, playing with electronics, kind of experimenting, taking them apart, things like that. Kind of exercises, challenging reality, kind of what if exercises, meditative exercises, guessing games, quote unquote, or so we thought at the time. What we know now are psychic exercises. We maybe be like when you're not the tangrams, they're the cards. I can't remember what the cards are called, but the cards would have like an X and a circle and a square. I wish I remember what the cards were called, but there are so many. There's like 25 of the cards, and they would pick one, and then they would want us to tell them which one it was, but specifically telling us not to guess and to visualize what it was. Hey, proud single mother. Hello, welcome in. Memory loss, either generally or more strangely, memory holes surrounding GATE program activities, if you will, but having other very vivid memories of even being at school, or other vivid memories of that time in our lives, but specifically memory holes relating to GATE. The study of planets and or the solar system, strange or lucid dreams, or even sleepwalking, advanced testing early, like SATs or I'm supposed to say ACTs, law enforcement, military, or college recruitment early, invitation letter to join Mensa. A lot of GATE kids actually got a letter in the mail inviting them to join Mensa. Many of us have had that experience. Out-of-body experiences, paranormal or even extraterrestrial experiences, psychic dreams or visions, or prophetic dreams, dreams that actually come true in some way. Unique art play while we were in the GATE program, visualization exercises, tons of visualization. We remember kind of fancy men, quote unquote, men in suits and ties, and women that kind of looked like nurses. We also, a lot of us remember strange field trips to national parks, military bases, or the planetarium, but we remember specifically being with the other GATE kids, not the entire school. Repetitive testing, kind of mundane type tests though, being exposed to numerology, astrology, other types of spirituality, but not understanding then that that's what it was. Kind of survivalist training. A lot of us remember things like fire starting or rope tying. I'm sorry, knot tying, things like that. Speed reading exercises, some type of experience leaving our bodies, whether in a dream or otherwise, quote unquote, astral projection, that type of thing. Pattern recognition, coding or decoding, mystery solving type exercises like whodunit, Oregon Trail, kind of real life games, quote unquote, exercises, kind of manipulating frequency, like the sand on a speaker type deal, and untangling colored strings, yarn, cords, things like that, physical kind of puzzles, if you will. Theo, hello, hello. Task cards, is that what they're called? Well, hello, hello. I wonder if this relates to the freezer. It very much could. It very much could. So that's what a lot of us remember from our time back then. Feel free to drop some stuff in the comments if you also remember. And a lot of us also have a lot of commonalities now that people are starting to understand that are kind of freaky. Good evening, Theo. So good to see you. Those of us that have any memories, that is. So we've got, okay, allergies to bees. A lot of us are apparently allergic to bees, and quite a few of us are allergic, at least from my experience. I've been in contact with several people who also know several people who this is the case for, who are specifically allergic to bees because they had an experience with multiple stings. Like I walked into a nest, right? Well, a hive that had fallen. So weird things like that, right? A scar or bump on the head, or that occipital bump, strangely shaped scars, especially around like the neck and face. Heterochromia, which is where you have your eyes are two different colors, or you have that ring of gold around your iris. Unique blood types like H1 negative or H1 H negative. If you know, you know. I can't think of the name of it right now. A history of drug use or abuse. This is very interesting because a lot of people had a history of drug abuse, but also drug use related to psychedelics that stopped either because they were freaked out by something, as in, like, I saw something and I don't know if I can handle it, or a bad trip, which I find interesting as well because they say it kind of, opens you up. Memory loss for chunks of time, specific memory holes, like I said, relating and specific to the GATE program. Mental health diagnoses, lots of them for many of us, especially mental health diagnoses that we find out later in life are misdiagnosed, a lot of times relating to medication, which is a whole nother topic. Many of us speak multiple languages. A lot of us can self-hypnotize, but we can't be hypnotized by others. That's my experience. I do self-hypnosis almost every night to fall asleep because I have insomnia and it's a whole thing, but I can do self-hypnosis and kind of like talk down type things and literally hypnotize myself to sleep, kind of. I don't know another way to put it. It's not like any woo-woo stuff. It's literally just a talk down where you relax. But that's one of the only ways I can fall asleep quickly and easily is when I do that. But I can't be hypnotized by other people. And I've tried. Like, I've done like fun magic show stuff, but I've also paid people to try and quit smoking or break other habits, and it's never worked. Other people cannot hypnotize me, which is strange. Oh, goodness, yes. I didn't even read that, but yes, absolutely. I literally read your comment, Rainey, and then I'm like, oh, and all the mental health and all the meds. Absolutely. Well, I don't know about research, but a lot of us. Yes, ma'am. Yes. And I don't know if you've ever researched into like golden children or star children, star seeds. But almost 100% of the people who suspect they could be quote unquote star seeds have a combination of ADHD and other co-occurring disorders a lot of the time. a history of addiction, which is very interesting. And I start to wonder if that's actually what's going on, or if perhaps our mind just works in a different way, and perhaps even they want us to medicate for some reason. Now we're getting into woo-woo territory and put on your tinfoil hat, but that's my personal opinion. Oh, yes, girl. Yes, I'm getting there. Yes, girl. Okay, Dave, Libertoy Pub. So good to see you. Hello, dear. Yes. So, yes, there's that incredibly strong intuition. That's another one. Lucid dreams, out of body experiences. Again, paranormal extraterrestrial experience or psychic dreams or visions that last until today as well. We're analytical by nature, artistic and talented in the arts. Law enforcement, true crime, or just crime in general, fascination. A lot of us are absolutely fascinated with that side of like understanding people's minds and why they do the things they do. I think it's really what it boils down to. A lot of us have had stalker experiences, whether online or in real life. And a lot of us, whether or not we would call it that or go that far, have at some point had the overwhelming feeling of being followed for a long period of time, which is interesting. A lot of us have that same feeling of like awakening, starting to understand things, starting to maybe get memories back, starting to have that thirst to understand, that thirst for knowledge recently. A lot of us have also had glitch in the matrix experiences, quote unquote, buzzwords, and we're great salespeople. Almost all of us are amazing salespeople, which is really interesting. Thank you, Theo. It's always good to have you. Isn't it crazy, Mary? Is it not? Oh, Rainy, you are okay. Is it not crazy how these connections are being made? And there's quite a few of these that other people have spoken about, but a lot of these I have kind of analyzed myself by knowing a few people who were in the gay program very well, and obviously knowing myself, I can kind of see these things as like, it could just be a correlation, it's possible, but it's just incredibly strange, Tomato, tomato. Exactly, Dave. A lot of us have also had near-death experiences, specifically and scarily near drowning experiences. I was talking on Mo's Live earlier about how I actually did drown. My uncle had to give me CPR when I was like 7 or 8 at the beach. Many, many, many of us have either drowned or nearly drowned in our lives at least once, which I think is very interesting. Like, why? What's with the water? Many of us have experienced being saved by a stranger, or, and this is kind of strange, a strange voice. A lot of people in the sphere talk about guardian voices, quote unquote, or like savior voices. Like they'll go to make a turn onto the highway and they'll hear a voice that'll say stop or like wait. And a lot of them through their life have attributed that to either their own inner voice, their guardian angel, maybe even God. And it could be. It's just interesting that we all have that. Maybe not all. A lot of us have that particular experience, right? And then a lot of us also have experienced very repetitive deja vu moments or moments of a very clear affirmation, like when we have sought affirmation in some way. Well, hello. Oh, I simply cannot. Right? Isn't that crazy, Dave? It is. It's just insane. It's insane. And then, of course, to this day, a lot of us also have, even somewhat recently, I know there are 2 people in the sphere that I'm close with that have, within like the past week or 2, had sleep paralysis experiences. And a lot of them have also seen this strange sleep paralysis, like man in the hat, demon, shadow people, those types of things, right? And, oh, the inner voice. So that's another thing I wanted to say. Oh, dear Lord. I simply cannot. I simply cannot. Are you bored? Is that what's going on here? Are you bored? I can't. Thank you for the watch time. Thank you so much. Tag the like. So anyway, I find a lot of this very interesting. This is something I've talked about in depth with some people that I'm close to. this inner voice thing, this is something that I've been thinking a lot about in relation to these gate experiences, watching them, listening to other people's memories, etc. Because I'm like, I wonder, because there's a big to do made a few years back about this whole inner voice thing. There's TikToks going around and other compilations of people talking about their inner voice because of that one girl who discovered that her boyfriend did not have an inner voice. So then it was a whole hoopla about who has the inner voice and who doesn't. There were studies on it. It's a whole thing. I sent it directly to him. If I had my daggum iPhone, I'm telling you what. You know what? I'm like, don't make me. Hold on. Anywho, so what I'm trying to get at is this very unique thing of the inner voice. Is that something that we all share? Hit a 1 in the comments or a yes if you have an inner voice. And even further, hit like a 3 or a what the hell if your inner voice is freakily not your own voice. This is another thing that I have found that a lot of us share that to me is quite honestly just a little freaky. I'm like, how is this really going to be a thing? So, hey, how are you, darling? I know, Rainy. I know that's right. Sometimes you can't, All right, So yeah, let me know. Do y'all have an inner voice? Is your inner voice your own voice that you hear in your head? Oh, hey, Julie. How are you, darling? Oh, welcome in, welcome in. So good to see you. We sure do love our Mary. Let me just take care of a couple things real quick. Don't mind me. Right? The voice isn't a problem. Right? Think about whose it is, because I am curious to see. I'm curious to see whose it is, because this is something that I personally gave a whole lot of credence and thought to, because for a long time I kind of assumed it. I never really thought about it until these discussions were happening, right? And so then once I started thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, is it my voice? I at sometimes hear my own voice, as sometimes it is not my own voice, which is even crazier in my own opinion. Like, okay. Oh, that's why. Why is it not? What the heck is really going on around here? I'm just close narrator. Right? Is that not crazy? I found that absolutely insane, because I'm like, hold on a second. Let me just 2 seconds here. The timeline is really what's going to freak y'all out. Oh wait, because I can't do the thingy. Da, 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 da. All right. Here's what we'll do. How you like me now? All right, now if somebody will comment again, it'll show me all the comments. Oh no. That's a great question, Rainey. I'm not 100% sure. I am still very much trying to figure out, one could say, like what they did, what had happened. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so frustrated. Because we're still just not 1,000% sure, right? Here we go. Ha, got you. I think it's super interesting to see the inner voice discussion, because I feel like it's one of those things. It's like, oh, okay, important. I guess you could say that one of the more quote unquote important similarities, right? There we go. Don't mind me. I sure hope not. Here we go. Now we are all jacketed up, and you can handle that however you would like. I know. It's like you're in a group therapy session. That's too funny. Yeah. It's okay. We're all here together, Mary. It's all right. Well, sometimes it's not my voice. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it isn't my voice. Sometimes I really don't know that it's a voice I know. That's kind of the freaky part. There are times when I hear a voice, but I don't know that it's not my voice. It doesn't seem familiar. There are also other times where I have kind of like self-correction thoughts, like better, or like things that I might intuitively know, but I'm thinking through in a thought process. I hear in my mom's voice. I know that, but it's more of like things she would say to me or what she would tell me to do in a situation, things like that. Okay, we see that. Good, good, good. Mandy, hi, darling. Okay, Julie. So good to see you, Mandy. I mean, that's okay. Yes, like when you're reading, that's another thing. When you're reading, do you imagine the pictures in your head, or are they just words to you? Because apparently there's a group of people out there who just read the words and they don't actually paint a mental image. Is that not weird? Or maybe you're like that. And I don't mean to say that you're weird, but that seems weird to me because I always paint the image. Right, exactly. That's too funny. Exactly. Right. I like it, Saul. All right. Okay. Good point, Dave. Good point, Dave. Oh, I know that's right, Julie. Don't even get me started. In my opinion, they have ruined so many movies from books. Even Harry Potter was like that, but no, discussion for a different time. But yes, it's just all of these discoveries have been so strange to me. Now, let's move into the timeline. This is where we're going to put the tinfoil hat on. Okay? So these are things I find important and or relevant to Gate, right? So in the 40s, we had Project Paperclip. You don't know what it was. It's when the government, particularly the CIA, recruited a bunch of spies, scientists, really shitty people. Why? Because 90% of them were ex-Nazis. They recruited them from Germany when they fled, right? And they used them for all kinds of psychological and behavioral experimentation on our people, on US citizens. This is not some conspiracy theory. CIA declassified documents have proven this. This for sure happened. And a lot of these people were very interested in experimentation on children. It's part of what they were doing in Germany, right? Weird. Then in the 50s, we had a very busy time. Of course, there was, oh, let me make sure to put this mode back on so I can't. There we go. So I can't mess anything up. We had MK Ultra when the CIA begins to explore mind control, hypnosis, remote viewing, other psychic phenomena using sensory isolation, deprivation, psychedelics, and other drugs, rigid programming, secret test groups, etc., including again on US citizens, including children without their knowledge a lot of times. Again, this is not some conspiracy theory. It's proven to have happened, right? And then also in the 50s, we had the National Defense Education Act, which is a program that literally created a pipeline from the education established to future national defense recruitment through records, right? Like you hear people joke about your permanent record when it comes to school, but that's really a thing now. The government gets all of your educational records. And like, why else would they really need it, right? That's crazy. Then we also had the Sputnik incident, which when the Soviet Union launched a satellite into Earth orbit, aka space race, officially began, because the whole world was like, whoa, we can't have this. We got to beat them to space, right? And then in the 60s, we had Project Talent. John C. Flanagan, a World War II aviation psychologist, developed a critical incident technique and used that to identify future fighter pilots using tests on cognition, psychological and psychometric profiling, and it echoed much of MK Ultra's methodology and goals, right? Again, this is in CIA declassified documents. This is a thing that happened. Then in the 70s, there was Stargate. The Union was rumored to begin investigating ESP and other psychic phenomena. In response, the CIA and Army created a program to attempt to weaponize psychic phenomena and use it in intelligence gathering and beyond, right? Then we're moving to the 80s. Oh, one thing. In the 80s, now remember, as we discussed earlier, some of the first known gay programs began in the 80s, all right? The Jacob Javits Act expanded the gifted programs already in place across America. At the same time, the NSA and DARPA integrated more STEM-focused curriculum for gifted students, creating a unique pipeline of these gifted students into the next frontier of defense, cybersecurity. Then in the 90s, we had the push toward tech and group success, right? This period laid the groundwork for later initiatives like No Child Left Behind, which significantly emphasized standardized testing and school accountability for these tests. While technology in schools was still limited compared to today, the 90s marked the beginning of a significant shift toward integrating technology into education. Then today, we have many declassified documents proving the existence of MK Ultra, although most of them were intentionally attempted to be destroyed by CIA director, Stargate, and others. The timing of all these events in conjunction with these gifted programs seems to suggest more than a cursory correlation. Logic follows, they are connected. So I'll look it up. I have not been looking at comments. Let me see here. Oh, let me go. Oh, goodness. Hey, Tab. Well, hello. Nacho, how are you? I know that's right, Mary. Yeah, Mad Intuition. Yeah. Weirdos Anonymous speaking. Welcome. Oh my gosh, the crap. That was light as a feather, stiff as a board. We are your people. Mary, hi, Aunt. And Taz, my Tennessee sister. Well, Mandy, perhaps that anxiety comes from an inner voice. Mary, so good to see you. I know, the web is a weird and wonderful thing. Barbie? Where? Where's Barbie? Oh, it's so good to see you, Taz. Barbie is supposed to be on the back, on in the background. I'm supposed to be on in her background with her dad. She's having some daddy time right now. And if I am on in the background, hello, daddy. I love you, Barbie. She just couldn't chat right this moment. But as I told her, I am sure there's going to be a part two because I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I feel like I've actually created quite um, quite the presentation of my own personal opinion, if I may say so myself. You know, the timeline, all these factors, and all, it's something I'm kind of proud of, kind of proud of, but I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. So, I'm going to take us out here so I can smoke a smoke. Oh, it's so good to see you, Unc. We need some WD-40 for that door. Am I right? And of course, fireworks are already occurring. So yes, and the whole purpose of putting the timeline together was because a lot of people have asked the infamous question, though, why? Why did they do this? What was the intention of GATE? What were they hoping to gain or glean from this, other than, um, you know, the obvious of identifying? Well, why would you want to identify people that were incredibly gifted, right? I think probably they created this pipeline basically to use these gifted students for various things in the security sector, quote unquote. I think that they also perhaps wanted to see if any of those amongst us had any of these psychic abilities that we talked about. And I mean, psychic can be woo woo, but it also can just be strong intuition and astral projection and lucid dreaming. I mean, psychic means a whole host of things. It doesn't have to be woo woo, right? Anywho, to see who amongst us has these, whether it be to use those, things like Stargate, or whether it be to maybe shut that down. A lot of people believe maybe that pink drink wasn't just something to alter our memory for the day. Maybe it was something to hamper those abilities somehow. Maybe that's why the program lasted for so long, continuous testing to see if whatever they were doing was maybe helping shut down those gifts, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, Salt. Yeah. That's right, Rainy. It's very interesting. Mandy says, like when I picture something in my own head, like if you told me to picture a cat, I see the silhouette. I don't see the details, like what the fur color is, if it's moving or not. Huh. Oh, that's okay, Mandy. That's very interesting. I feel like maybe one of the reasons I ask so many follow-up questions when people, like I'm an active listener when people are telling me a story, it's because I do that. Like if you're telling me a story about your cat, I'd be like, which cat? Like, oh, okay, the orange fluffy one, or like the black short-haired one, because in my head, I'm picturing the cat. You're telling me a story about the cat jumping around on the porch. Even if I'm imagining what your porch looks like because I've never seen it, or comparing it to my own porch and my own cats, or whatever the case is, I will, in my mind, imagine a cat jumping around a porch. And I never really realized that there were people who didn't do that. Like I knew the inner voice wasn't a thing, and I knew that not picturing like when you're reading was a thing, but I didn't realize that it translated also into like everyday conversation. Like when you're conversating, you don't like imagine the conversation. That's very interesting. I definitely do. No need to apologize. Oh, hi, Allie. How are you? Welcome in, welcome in. That's very interesting. And I know I did kind of also like run through that timeline really quick. I'm so conversely awkward. Well, I don't know about that, but You definitely come across clear and concise when typing as well, Mandy. You need to understand why. Me too. Hence why I started to fall down this rabbit hole. I think, I don't know, personally, in my own opinion, I feel like the things that were done to us went far and above simple tracking, right? If they don't ever have to come and have a conversation with us if they're just wanting to like track us to use us for future intelligence projects or whatever the case may be. They would never even have to come and meet us or do all types of strange tests on us. They could watch us from afar, wait till we turn 18 and recruit us like they do at job fairs all across America every day, right? Or every year. So I don't think it's that simple. I definitely think there was a nefarious purpose. I also find it very interesting that only a small portion of the gate kids I personally know, this is anecdotal, only a small portion of their parents really knew what was going on. A lot of them knew they were in some talented program, but when a lot of us spoke with their parents about it later in life, a lot of them didn't realize the extent that this was something that happened several times a week, that we were going on field trips, that we were, and there were all types of strange things. Like they did some kind of genetic testing on me that required a hair follicle and blood. And that part my mom did know about. And I can't remember, it was they said it was some kind of project for something or other in school, some kind of thing, but it wasn't for school because it was just the gay kids that did it. I remember that. No, Bandy, you are fine. Well, we love having you around, Mandy, and you fit in just fine around here. You sure do. Good to see you, darling. But yes, oh, and speaking of, just for 2 seconds, this just came into my mind. Um, without saying anything about anyone else, because it's just not even worth mentioning, um, birdies have told me that there are people on these here YouTube streets that would like to make you believe you are not safe in certain people's chats, like Miss Mo, for example. And I would just like to let you know that's not the case. And you would definitely be welcome there. And anywhere I hang out, you will always be safe. And some people have ulterior motives, and they're just funny and not like, haha, like funny money's funny, you know? So that's all I'm going to say about it. But I did tell myself next time I saw you that I was going to mention it, and this is the first time I've seen you. So. Oh, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like we all definitely do that. They sure are, Rainy. People just, I swear, I feel like if I have two people, right, in real life, on the internet, wherever it might be, and these two people, maybe they don't even like each other, right? But one person might say to me, hey, maybe watch your back with this person. And they leave it at that. That to me would be an hey, I'm looking out for you thing, right? If there's another person who's like, don't go here, don't speak to this person, don't do that, this person's going to do this to you or that to you, and on and on and on, and tries to convince or coerce you not to be friends with someone else or tell you who you can or cannot be friends with, that's the person I'm looking at with a snake eye. That's the person I'm like, what are your ulterior motives here? Because it's not just to have my back, right? That's what I'll say about it. Have you ever heard the term starseed, Rainy? If not, I'm going to need you to Google it. Do a little deep dive after this. Allie, were you a gay kid too? It's so weird how, like, so many people from our online community were like that, because it's like that, right? Like in life, even if it's online and we're thousands of miles away, you know, right? Amen, ready. I don't even have TikTok, but I watch compilations on YouTube. There's Barbie. Hi, darling. We're still a going. I mentioned you earlier. I don't know if you were listening. Our sweet Bobby. But yeah, so I got that little timeline here. And spread awareness. Okay, let's do it, Mandy. I'm listening. Right, Rainey, because it's one of the last frontiers, one of the last spaces that, I mean, I won't say it's not censored, because a lot of people have to use code words and silly things like that, but it's a lot less heavily censored than some of the other places, I made it and ran the whole way. So glad you made it, Barbie. Yes, Mandy, you may always say something, no matter how on or off topic it may seem. That's the end of my presentation. That's all I have. The timeline, to me, I just find it incredibly interesting, like the timing of all of this, you know? Hey, TRX. No one told me it was the GATE program, but when I told my mom about my new teacher I liked so much and what I did in the special classes, she went in and yelled at them all. Yeah, that makes sense. And told them I wasn't allowed in the class anymore. Maybe that's for the best. I actually do know, I have heard a few stories of similar people's parents who, for whatever reason, some of them were highly religious and suspicious. Some of them, just intuition told them something was up. Oh, I have the numbers now too. But I have heard a few stories of people saying similar things, like my parents didn't let me stay in it. And I find that very interesting. Pull up your seat and catch your breath. My question would be then, for you, Allie, did you ever have any of the follow-up that some of us have had? Did you ever get the letter inviting you to join Mensa? Were you ever asked to do any of the things some of the kids were asked to do, like take your SATs or ACTs early? Did you ever have anything like that? Our lovely friend Leslie. Right, exactly, Barbie. Our lovely friend Leslie, you probably know her from Chad's streams. I talked to her on her live, but she's put in her community tab. She has a GoFundMe. Oh, okay. It was an orphanage and then a counseling center. I'm so confused what it was. Oh my gosh, me too. That is so crazy. That she's struggling with money and attending college, and I would love if you could spread the word and have people help her. I love her so much. Leslie, yeah, is that Leslie Canope or Leslie Dank Smokes the Dankest or something? Am I thinking of the same person, Mandy? I thought I was subscribed to her, but I didn't know she had been doing lives. I've missed it. If you want to drop her at, we can pin it. You lurk, Miri. That is fine. Were you a gate kid, Miri? Ganja, yes. Okay. I kind of stopped doing my work after that, ended up dropping out a couple years after that. Allie, that's another weird coincidence. A lot of people I know who were in the gay program, not all, obviously, but a lot of them went on to either drop out and then, go down a life of like crime and or drugs, or even go, get their GED later in life, even go to college. Like me, I did some college, but they wanted to be the hell away from school, like ASAP Rocky, which I find also very interesting. Not that I remember. Okay. Well, and I had been saying the earliest I have heard of people speaking about gay was like 80s, I believe. But what's to say it wasn't happening even earlier than that? First through third, you remember nothing. See, that's another interesting thing. A lot of people have that, like memory holes. This is one of the reasons I've never participated in psychedelics. It might be best I don't know. Well, and see, and that's the thing too. I know a lot of people who have tried to be hypnotized or do current or past life regressions so that they can recover memories. Or also they go on quote unquote memory trips, like these ayahuasca trips and whatnot. But there is definitely, especially if you fall down a rabbit hole like this and you already have these ideas in your mind, because the mind is such a powerful thing in and of itself, there's always the possibility that you could uncover a false memory because you already have these things in your head. So it's like, how can we even trust, you know, our very own memory, which is scary. We're in the late 60s. Yes, exactly, Mary. That kind of stuff. Have you talked about how crazy it is we have somehow found each other over time? Yes, I was talking about that in the beginning. How weird it is that a lot of us, like, kind of naturally congregate and come together. A lot of our social circles, like our close friends, are other gay kids. I found that very interesting. When I took the GED without their special classes, the professor had me in with a few others for a meeting, telling me that I could have my pick of any college university based on my scores. Right, Allie? See, I remember when I was in 7th and 8th grade, middle school, if you will, before even heading into high school, I participated in this kind of outreach program. I'm not sure if it was also part of GATE, if it was some other arm, if it was just something completely different, but it was a program that Duke University sponsored, and it was like talent scouting basically, and they paid for young, children to take their SATs and ACTs, and I did it both my 7th and 8th grade year. I took my SATs in 7th grade and my ACT 7th grade and my SATs in the 8th grade, and they offered quite a few of us scholarships, you know, based off of that. If we got so many credit hours, etc., there was very much still requirements that we had to meet. But I remember it being very strange back then, even thinking to myself, like, why would they go out of their way to, like, how many people apply to colleges every year and they have to turn so many people down? Like, why would they hunt certain ones of us out? And like in my entire school system, like in all of, the 7th graders in that school district, there was only 3 of us that did it. So this was not something they offered everyone. Lando, hello, dear. It's cool indeed, Barbie. Full ride scholarship, dropped out senior year. Yes. How weird is that, Barbie? I'm doing very well, Lando. How are you, dear? 16, yep. 16 when I dropped out. How weird is that? Did you put it in here? Did you put it in here, Mandy? I didn't see it. Okay. 4.0 GPA, all in her classes, just wanted out of school. Yes, Mary, that was exactly it. That's what I said. Like, a lot of us who were even, good at school, I never really even had to try hard to, like, get good grades. Like, I could half-ass everything and still get B's, maybe a C every once in a while. But I hated school. Yes, exactly, Mary. Enrolled in the university. Isn't that so weird? Okay, there it is. There it is. I also passed my GED so fast. Oh, you're fine, Barbie. How weird is that, right? Oh, shoot. I didn't make Ryan a mod. Will you also put her at? Oh, that's okay. This is one of our pottery friends that Mandy has dropped the link for. She is struggling. Right, Allie? Miri, I'm telling you, I swear, a lot of the people that I know that dropped out are some of the, like, even if they're not some of the most academically smart, although a lot of the people I know are also academically endowed, if you will. Wink, wink. Oh gosh, a bug just flew at me. They have some of the like most common sense and street smarts of anyone I know. Oh, thanks, Lando. Oh, Dave, y'all are too sweet. Too easy or too hard. I know that's right. There it is. Gondola's Leo 999. Yes, we love Rainy. I like conversations like this, you know, like don't get me wrong, like the brain rot and the just hanging out is also fun. Like, you know, we're just normal people. What we do is hang out. But like when I hang out with my peeps, the rare occasion that I do these days, like these are the kind of conversations we have too. We're like falling down rabbit holes together and talking about how the moon hasn't looked right in years. And, you know, like these are also conversations I have with my like quote unquote real life friends, you know? So we're just, Sam, hi. Yes, Justin, exactly that. I do think it's incredibly interesting that we all find each other, you know, like Barbie said, like I had said earlier, later in life, you know, the friends that you choose to meet. Like, you know, and we all have a great community online, but even like the people that I'm close with that I actually speak with on an almost daily basis, like almost all of them are gay kids. How crazy is that? We're talking about the very strange GATE program, Sammy. I've done a little presentation, and here we see a timeline of other weird stuff happening. Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear, Julie. You might just fit in. I see that your title here, your name, Crochet Things. I knit. You know, I can crochet a very simple stitch, but I also love to knit. I knit sometimes. August 4th, you know what that is, Mandy. Oh, before you even finish, I already know what you're gonna say. What every family get together is like. Yes, it is my birthday. Oh, that's amazing. See, Mary, Julie, I've told Mary, if you can crochet, you can knit. That's rule 5. See, that's crazy to me. It's crazy that y'all can crochet and think knitting is hard. To me, crocheting is so much more difficult. I felt like I was losing the people I love. No, I like grapes. I can't with you. No, Mandy, I completely understand. I feel like there's definitely there's certain friends that you have that will be your cheerleader. That will be the person that gives you a pep talk or lets you vent or however long you need, etc. And there are certain friends that you can only go so deep with, right? And that's not to insult those friends or say that they themselves are not deep people, but that's just to say whether it's because they just want to stay positive or because maybe they don't believe, you know, in things like mental health, which is some would say is wild. For whatever reason, you can't always have those conversations with everyone in your life, if that makes sense. And that's not a shortcoming of yours at all. And it's not to even say that's a shortcoming of theirs. People are just different, right? We're all at a different place. We're on a different frequency. And, you know, I get it because I feel like you should surround yourself when you're in a time of need with people who are at that same frequency and who can be there for you like you need them to be. Does that make sense? There's nothing wrong with you. I've seen the context. It was hilarious. And like I told you, I would have seen that and LOL'd so hard, I might have peed myself. It would have completely distracted me from whatever crisis was happening. And I would have just been like, woohoo! I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, that's my fancy presentation. Yep. The Duck Song. I feel like I should know that song. Oh, nope. Don't do that. Don't do that. People are coming and going. We got a WD-40 that door. Do you got any grapes? Look, sometimes our brain don't want to brain. You know, it happens. What did y'all have for dinner? I made some yummy dinner. I made some baked Italian chicken and homemade 3 cheese mac and cheese, some baked potatoes, some country green beans, which just means that they have onion and bacon in there, and they're the French cut kind, and some drop biscuits, but they weren't very good. They're the Red Lobster type. I don't know if they were old or what, because they did not taste great. Julie, no. Sounds like I can't be my own person, but the rub is I can't be on my own. Yeah. And you know exactly that, Mandy. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? When you start comparing yourself, or even, Lord forbid, other people start comparing you to others, problems arise, right? Because we're not those other people, we are ourselves. And you can find something wrong with anyone if you compare them to someone else. And notice I didn't say someone better or worse or prettier or older. I didn't put, that added, bit in there. I said someone else because it's also very much, what's the word I'm looking for? Subjective, right? Better, worse, or successful, all those things are very much subjective. And you can't let other people give you an objective opinion on a subjective subject, if you will, on a subjective conversation, because it's not ever going to be something valuable for your life. You know what I mean? And I don't say that to say I think anyone intentionally is trying to be hurtful. It's just some people think differently, see things differently. Some people's life experiences are different, and perhaps don't give them the same perspective. I'll just say that. You know where my heart is. I don't say any of that to be in any way insulting or anything like that. I just think it's subjective. It's different for all of us, and very much not something we can just say across the board, because you're right. There are people who were disabled or handicapped who can't just undisable themselves or handicap themselves, or I'm sure they would, right? And there are lots of people who are privileged and lucky and blessed to lead a healthy life, and who all their friends and family live a healthy life, and so they don't really understand that, you know? Yes, exactly. Oh, brown sugar. See, I do chicken flavoring. Oh, that sounds so good, Justin. That sounds so good. Simba, hey dear. Oh, for sure. I would never think you're hiding anything. You're a pretty open book, Mandy. Your successes and failures are uniquely yours. There are miracles every day. There are tragedies every day. There are no guarantees that one thing that happens over here will happen over there. Incredibly true. Wise, sage advice from Barbie, as per usual. But it's so true, it's, I mean, I could go on and on. I do believe, Nick and Jess, I believe they're both very good people. I believe, they definitely believe in a certain kind of pull yourself up by your bootstrap mentality. And I can respect that. But as I've told Nick myself, more than once in my own way, that's not how everybody can live. And that's okay. Not everybody will understand everybody else's struggles. 15. The GATE program. Oh my gosh, I made a whole presentation on it. The Gifted and Talented in Education program. Surely you've heard about this because it's like everywhere, all over YouTube and the Clock app right now. Diarrhea mouth. Okay, Allie, we'll see you soon, dear. Thank you for coming in. I wish I could physically show you how difficult it is for me to function on my own. I can walk and do the basic needs fine, but when I have a brain off day, everything is overstimulating and I cannot go to the grocery store without crippling with overwhelm or ruining dinner. I totally understand that, Mandy, and it's valid. You are valid. Period. Nobody else has to validate you. However, I understand it's one thing to hear someone say that, or even to say it to yourself, than to not find validation in a place where you seek it. That's still very hurtful, even if logically you understand that. So I understand that, I get it. But, you're safe here, and no one doesn't believe you. I mean, you have no reason to lie. I've never found you to be untrustworthy for any reason, in my own personal opinion. And I mean, I trust you. I have no reason not to. And my heart hurts for you. I hate that. I grew up with a mom who basically, my entire life was chronically ill, and I was her caretaker. And there were days when she was okay, less and less as she grew older, and there were days that she couldn't get out of bed. I mean, people are all at different levels, and every day wasn't like that for her, just like I'm sure every day isn't like that for you. But when it was a day like that, no amount of let's just do it could get her out of bed. Must be when you talk to yourself. It does, Dave. I agree. Antisocial AF. Yes, same. one day at a time, sometimes an hour at a time. 15, am I right? Oh, Barbie, I completely understand. My mom had a lot of struggle with that as well because she was always a spitfire. Excuse me, as I'm cleaning up from dinner. I was going to end the live, but since we're having such a good discussion, I'll just continue and wash my dishes off. But, you know, she was a spitfire and strong as hell. I mean, she was an army vet. Um, and, I mean, you know, gunnery sergeant and drill sergeant for a bit, tough as nails. And, you know, for her to have her body feel in the way that it did was very, not to mention also being sick with breast cancer and having to have what ended up eventually as a double mastectomy, and then because of her lady part problems, eventually a full hysterectomy. She definitely felt at times as if she was losing her personhood and her womanhood. I'm not assuming that, these are things she told me that she felt, and it was heartbreaking. You know, you hate to see anybody you care about go through those things. It's absolutely horrible, and you know, to feel invalidated is the worst. I can't imagine not validating somebody that I care about. But it's kind of what I was saying earlier. I don't believe, how to say this. I don't think it's ever, maybe not ever. I don't think it's mostly even meant to be invalidating. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. I feel like perhaps it's just a question of understanding, like on a empathize, not sympathize level. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. Oh goodness, what did he do? Life do be life in 15. Who said that? Nick and Jess? Did Nick and Jess say they were leaving YouTube? Ooh, that's a good point, Dave. Man, do you crack me up. I'm making sense. Thank you, 15. We all need a little validation sometimes. Yes, exactly. I feel like some people even would empathize if they could, but they just don't have the experience to be able to. I'll just put it that way, you know, and bless them for that being the case. I know a lot of the horrible things I've been through in life, I wouldn't wish people to go through just so they could empathize. I prefer you not be able to understand, you know? And I know you would say the same thing, Mandy. You're a sweetheart. So that's the penny for my thoughts, because I think sometimes it's just a lack of anecdotal experience that allows people to relate, you know? I need to believe that anyway. Well, I would like to believe that, or else, you know, but we'll believe that. I always like to give people the most fair benefit of the doubt. You know, golden rule. I would hope people would do the same for me. And I hope here you always find a soft place to land because you know you are loved, accepted, validated, and heard. You know, I know that sounds so like, oh, but it's true. You are all those things, and we adore you, Mandy. We all do. Uh-huh, uh-huh. If they're tired of YouTube shenanigans, I have heard good things about Lyrica, but I have not. Have I? I don't have any memories of it, so it either didn't work for me or didn't make me a zombie. Exactly, Barbie. Exactly. I didn't ask me, Barbie. Bad choice. But your panic attack stopped. That's great. That's a good thing. And I know, Barbie, you and I have had this conversation as well. It's, I always kind of shy away from kind of quote unquote recommending meds and things like that because, doctors are there for a reason. I might give my experience and, kind of like Dave did earlier, be like, maybe talk to your doctor about X or Y. But, everybody is just so different. It can be downright dangerous. But I don't shy away from it because I don't think meds are a thing or work or that people actually need them. That's not it at all, for the record. It's just, a CYA policy, basically. I know plenty of people who truly need meds whose lives would be unmanageable without them and are very grateful for them. Now, I've almost got the kitchen cleaned up from dinner. Look at us go, working together. Here, here. Perfect. Chicken. Oh, Miss Fanny. Oh yeah, I forgot you guys knew each other. That's great, 15. We love to hear that. Yes, exposure therapy, Dave. Oh, well, Mandy, you can flood our chat anytime. We love that, 15. Yep. You and I have talked about this, Barbie, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you use it as a crutch. Sometimes you need it. And even if you want to call it a crutch, it's a forever crutch. A support, if you will, a new pillar of support. And that's okay. That's really what it is for some people. And it's not, I feel like some people, your mind is a powerful thing. Maybe there's a place that you could get to where, for some conditions, you don't need meds. I also think it's incredibly dangerous to basically tell people they don't need meds, period. They just need to trick their brain, basically. I think that's very dangerous because the people that do need meds might stop them suddenly or not take them when they need them, etc., and just not great. Jinx, Dave. An aid, yes. Yes, agreed. Yes, we can definitely have a conversation, Mandy. Yes, Dave. I'm getting that feeling, Barbie. I will say, I won't go too deeply into it, mostly because I don't have permission to, and we know I'm not the type to run my mouth, especially about people who aren't around, even if it's positive things, if it's personal conversations. I will say there was a time when my feelings were hurt, more specifically by Nick, during a conversation, and I reached out to him and kind of jokingly, like you said, word vomited all over the place and told him all my feelings, and was surprised, pleasantly surprised with his reaction. Um, I think I also was being a little sensitive for multiple reasons and also realized that even in my message. But I think too, most people, if given the chance, want to be good people and friends and don't want to be hurtful. You know what I mean? It's just a thought. Mental health, indeed, is super complicated. Right. That's like 15 exactly. That's like the difference between feeling depressed, quote unquote. I'm depressed, quote unquote. And like I'm actually clinically depressed, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm depressed. I'm like, no, you're sad. You're grieving. You're something else, you know. Well, Dave, if it helps you. Exactly 15. Now that's debilitating. Been there. Yes, I agree, Mary. I think I think Nick is good people. I think he comes across as very crass and what's the word? Abrasive. I've also been called abrasive many times. So I feel that on a spiritual level. I think he spares no feelings at times, and maybe he could be more tactful. But I do believe in my heart that he never is intentionally hurtful. I do believe that. I believe he is trying to help, even if he comes across a little carelessly abrasive, if you will. We do. We do indeed. We all have our moments. That's also very true, Barbie. Yes, Mandy. Yes, I've also exactly been there. I have been there. I think also it's really important to remember that sometimes Nick is looking at chat, even when he's quote unquote just looking at chat, he's usually looking at 3 or 4 different chats. To us, it may seem like he's just reading this chat, right? But if even on the days he's not jumping up and doing 100 things, he's still looking at many chats, actually like producing, quote unquote, controlling the cameras, making sure they're not overheating, like what's happening there for a while. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we might, even in our upset moment, give them credit for, right? And so all this is happening, not to mention, like Barbie said, they could be having a bad day or a struggle of their own. So I think sometimes, just like we would want grace granted to us, I think that grace should also be granted. Of course, Barbie. Of course. And I also know that they do very much appreciate you, Mandy, and care about you, and have nothing but good things to say about you. You know, they always give you shout outs and appreciate the mod things you do over there, dropping links and such, and all the times you share your plants and other photos, and you're very much an integral part of the community. I feel pretty comfortable saying that, like on their channel as well. And They really care about you. So even if it's hard, I say try not to take it personal if there's crassness, because they care. They do. Even when you're not around, they speak very highly of you. That's a true story. This is my timeline I made, Barbie. I don't know if you caught that. Here, I'll run through this real quick. Pardon me, since you came in late. You want a screenshot? If you actually, I made it in Canva. I can send this to you later. I don't know what I'm thinking. But anyway, basically, gate tag TUI Gap EHL and other names that it's known by. This is just some things you can find on Google. And then I made my own little collage of things that are gate related, right? The pink drink, consciousness grid, ink blots, scantrons, tanagrams, the quote unquote special hearing test. Then we went into those things a little bit more. The gateway experience, I played a bit of the gateway experience, the pink drink, what I think it could be, the connected consciousness grid, and the ink blots. And then some of the things, oh, sorry, Fluffy, some of the things we all remember, some of the things happening to us all now, and then the timeline. Oh, hi, Abigail. Welcome in, welcome in. Happy birthday again. Yes, Barbie. I'm glad, Abigail. You know we love you. Yes, yes, people were talking about the pink drink. I have a theory based on somebody else's theory about what it could be. It's a theory that I heard of. You probably heard of this drug before. They use it in small doses in some medical procedures. They call it B2 on the street. It's also called scopolamine. There was a big thing about it in South America a few years ago. People were using it. They call it devil's dust or devil's breath, and they would blow it in people's faces, and it makes them highly suggestible, right? Almost like a hypnotic state, and then it makes you lose your memory, which is interesting. It's also almost tasteless and odorless, so it would be easily mixed with drinks, etc. You are wonderful, Mandy. We all appreciate you. The taste, was it like chalky to you, almost like a Pepto-Bismol? I don't really have a recollection, if I could English, of how often we drank the drink. It might have been every time we met with the other gay kids. I have a recollection of it being often, but I can't remember if it was because the gate. It wasn't like, for me anyway. My experiences with what I remember, it wasn't like the gate kids met Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12. You know what I mean? Some weeks we would maybe meet once or not at all. Other weeks we would meet 2 or 3 times. It was very almost unorganized seeming, if that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, super fine shot. Yes. Oh, yes. Of course, you can always rant, Mandy. And we all know you love them just as we know they love you. Absolutely. See, some gay kids say that they remember having this drink on a regular basis, but see, that's what I was about to say. I remember I remember refusing the drink several times to the point I was taken like back to my classroom away from like the other gay kids, almost as if I was being punished, right? It's crazy. But some kids remember drinking it a whole lot, and I know There's also been a big to-do about fluoride because I know we were given those fluoride drinks as kids as like a treatment for our teeth. I do remember that that was a thing, but it definitely should not have been so often, right? Goodness gracious, almost 11 here. I am getting tired. I've been working hard to get my little presentation together, so I hope that you have enjoyed it. These have been some very interesting things I have sorted through. I might put out, maybe I can put out like my little, I've made a playlist of like 5 or 6 videos of people talking about it, about like their memories of being in GATE. And every time I watch somebody's video about it, I find it incredibly interesting because every single time it seems to spark a new like memory or even if not new, like how the entire live we kept being like, oh my gosh, at the similarities with each other. It's like that. Even if it's not striking like a new memory out of nowhere, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that. You know, kind of similarities with each other. It's really interesting. Oh yes, 100%. There's fluoride in the tap water for the same reason it was in the water at the concentration camps. I probably was being disruptive. 15. Green or blue? See, most people remember pink, but I have heard in like other people's stories of their experience that that it was other colors. But pink seems to be the most like quote unquote common memory. Yeah, 15, you cracked me up. I so appreciate everybody that has joined us. I really love that we have cultivated a community here where I can really, I can also speak freely and not have to worry about being like judged or like people thinking I'm full of woo woo, you know? Because I feel like all of us are not woke, but actually awake. Or at least a lot of us. And, you know, maybe some of us on different level than others, but I feel like almost all, if not all, of the community is at least intelligent and open-minded enough to like hear me out and see if I can like quote unquote change their mind or maybe at least make a good point. Does that make sense? I feel very grateful for that. Oh, I'm sure, Barbie. I'm sure. Can I be part of the club? Always. I don't know if it's one you want to be a part of, but you're invited, 15. That wasn't great news. I know that's right. I remember chugging. My dad used to drink, what was it? It was like, it was a mixed drink. I can't remember what it was, but it was a mixed drink that smelled like grape, which is exactly why it jogged that memory. I can't remember if it was something he mixed himself or something that he bought, but it looked like grape Kool-Aid. It's what it looked like. Like he would have it in this like plastic cup, and it smelled like Kool-Aid, and it looked like Kool-Aid, and I loved Kool-Aid. And I remember there was once I grabbed it and chugged like 3 or 4 good chugs and threw up for hours. I mean, I was only like maybe 6 or 7. I was little. From your Hey, Nick is a good guy. Came from several of us. Thank you very much. Was Nick a gay kid of the app Stereo? No. Stereo? Yes, Barbie. Same. Stereo. I don't think I have heard of that. Same, Barbie. I really feel like, as I've said 100 times, the internet is a wild but wonderful place. You know, it can really bring people together as much as it can brain rot you and mess your whole life up. Stereo. I just don't know. We all said it, Nick. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Pardon me. I'm still a little coughy. I didn't want to cough right in your ear with my fancy microphone. It's not all that fancy. But yeah, and I'll tell you, the timeline to me is just really super interesting. Like, listening to a whole bunch of the research that I've been doing and like figuring out what's happening through time, like in the military and the CIA and what everybody is doing, like aligning and correlating so well with all of these gifted programs, to me is just a little bit more than a simple correlation. I mean, am I right or am I right? 15's out. Oh, good evening, 15. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, thank you. Get those games, Jack Stewie. Yes, indeed. It's about that time. I'm getting so sleepy. It is indeed about that time. But yes, I think it's incredibly ironic, if you will, that in the 70s Stargate happened, right? And I mean, of course, we've got like Paperclip, Ultra, all these other things, the National Defense Education Act, but specifically Stargate and Jacob Javits Act, expanding these gifted programs happening at the same time when they're wanting to use psychic phenomena to like win wars, basically, to me is crazy. That is one of the most crazy, quote unquote, coincidences, if you will. Oh, well, thank you. Hearts, 15 hearts. I like to, give a little presentation. I don't think, were you here when I did my second Smortion live? Not the one when we watched the videos, but the one where I did all the statistics. I can't remember if you were there. I don't think you were. But I have to say, I was pretty proud of that one. I got a whole bunch of facts and statistics, and it's just like in the first one, a lot of people thought it was going to be like, I'm conservative and I don't believe in it, and you're going to hell if you do. And it was going to be that simple, basically, that deep, if you will. And instead, I was like, okay, you know what we can do? Let's really show you what you believe in. You say you support abortion, so let's watch one. Let's see how you feel about it afterwards. And there were several, grown men that couldn't sit through the whole live because it was difficult. It's difficult to watch. Thank you, Justin. Still a cool guy. I should have. Maybe I could have created like a little link tree. I know, like I said, a few of the videos I've watched for research, I could definitely link them like once the video goes broad. In the comment section, I could link, there's like 4 or 5 videos that I watched on like the history of the education system, basically, those types of things, that I found very good. This one. Thank you. Oh, please. You silly. You so silly, Nick. We know you have all the feelings. One might argue that some of those that are the most sensitive amongst us sometimes come across the most, I don't say insensitive, but abrasive. That's the word I use. Like I said, I've been called abrasive many, many, many times. But it's really because, you know, we have big hearts and we're not down with the BS. But we care. Oh, thank you, Miss Rainey. So glad to have had you. Thank you very much. Amen. Continue overthinking. I know that's right, Nick. That's exactly right. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Not everybody is at the same place. And pray for you. I pray for almost every single one of you on a nightly basis. I really, truly think of all of you. And, you know, as Barbie said earlier, you know, we've all come into each other's lives, literally and figuratively. And, you know, it means something to me that you guys take the time out of your day to come and hang out with me when I go live or have something I want to share or discuss. And, you know, you could be doing a million other things, but you choose to come hang out with me, and that means something to me, and I appreciate it. And we've also just grown, a lot of us, to be, you know, quote unquote real life friends, not just internet friends. And I care about all of you. I really do. But I guess we can all not understand together. Well, unless they declassify some more documents, I don't know how much more we can understand. You're cool too, Leah. I love you, Unc. Oh, y'all crack me up. But that's exactly it, Randy. I definitely think we were not meant to understand a whole lot of it, you know? Oh, Mandy. Y'all always crack me up. I always say that. There's many times where I've been having a rough day for one reason or another, and I'll get on live. Maybe I don't want to at first because I'm like, oh, my day's crap. I feel like crap. But I get on live, and surprisingly, instead of feeling like it's a chore, I feel almost liberated, and you guys cheer me up and put me in a better mood. It's just like a hangout with a friend, you know? Yes, that, Barbie. Heart to you, Mandy. I do. I appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation here. As I said, I definitely see a part 2 coming. I only could go so far down the rabbit hole on a single live without, you know, making it all night long. All night long. I also hope the audio was fantastic. I'm using my fancy mic. And yeah, so let's look forward to part 2. I'll do some more research. Yes, Barbie, exactly that. Exactly that. That's the thing. I think it's very, you know, interesting that all of us coming together, finding each other, you know, speaking about these things. It's like we're starting to unlock all these memories, and, you know, yeah, I think it will only continue. I do believe you're 100% right on that. As we continue sharing, thinking, it's like a lot of the connections I have personally made that I haven't heard anybody else on YouTube talk about, like being allergic to bees, like the inner voice thing. I haven't heard anybody else talk about that, but these are connections I made on my own you know. Maybe we could find more. Audio was spotless. Perfect audio. Love it. I love it. Yes, Mandy, thank you for sharing that with us earlier. Why are you not blue? Agreed. Agreed. Just like I said, people are all at different places. I believe there are people who need medication for a lifetime. And I don't just mean for quote unquote more everyday or more well talked about, if you will, conditions like depression, anxiety. I more so even mean for things like schizophrenia or debilitating physical things, you know? Thank you, Mandy. But as I said, many people, the brain is a powerful thing. We talked about that just today, right? Many people truly believe that's enough. For some people, believing it is enough. I do believe our mind can do amazing things, right? Heck, I hypnotize myself to sleep every night. I was talking about that earlier. Nobody else can hypnotize me, but I can do that to myself. You know, our brains are very, very powerful. And you too, Barbie. Oh, get back over here. Yes, thank you all for the always enlightening conversation. I love you all so very much. I do believe I shall start readying myself for the bedtime. That little face cracks me up every time. And I'm sending you all virtual hugs. And we shall speak again soon. I love you all very much. Take care of yourselves and each other. All right. Until next time.